Hey guys, it's Wacka. Welcome you to another tier list video. I haven't done one of these in a while. This time we're actually not doing Mega Pokemon because I've done Mega Pokemon like for the last like year and a half, and um, after my last game, which is up on the channel right now, um, I decided to kind of go ahead and make a tier list of all of the Pokemon that I've won a chip with. So as you can see, our S tier is our star players, our MVPs of the team. In the orange tier, we have better than expected, so maybe like a good mon that I thought I'd perform poorly with, but actually did better than I thought they would. I also have the pretty average tier, so like they just kind of did like what I expected them to do. We have the tier. It's gonna be a little bit confusing because I had a couple of mons I feel like they had really good performances in some games, but in other times, like they really dropped the ball. So I figured I would kind of make a middle tier just to show like they were very good when they were good and very bad when they were bad. And then we got the below average tier, so just mons that like I drafted thinking they do a lot more, but then kind of just did nothing. Then we have our no-show, or that I had to drop them. I didn't want to make another tier between this and dropped on its ass, so either they didn't come to a game or I dropped them, but they kind of did stuff before I dropped them. So that's kind of how I mean this. And then dropped on his ass Pokemon that did nothing. Um, and were like so bad in like every matchup that I just they just had to go. Which I don't think there's a lot of Pokemon that'll end up in this tier. So yeah, with that said, on my first chip team, I had Mega Scissor, which I think I will put in better than expected. It wasn't really like the star player, I don't think. Um, that role would have to go to a different mon on that team. But Scissor did pretty good, um, and it definitely saved me in a lot of matchups that it otherwise wouldn't have. I believe it itself won me the chip game by getting a huge crit on a Mew that was like cosmic power spamming and taunt spamming. So all I could really do was like click U-turn, flip turn, um, and hope for the best. I believe that season I also had Tornadus Therian. And you'll probably see Torn like 3 times on this list. If I had a Pokemon I want to chip with more than twice, you'll see, or more than once, you'll see the shiny home sprite, and then if they won a third time or more, you'll see a like Sugimori type art for them. So just to like differentiate how I think they performed on each team. But yeah, Torn was kind of a star player. I don't know if I put him as a star player, but he came to I think like every game, and that is I think pretty good. Hydreigon, I believe I'm putting him in pretty average. Um, Hydreigon has kind of fallen off in recent years. This was actually a Gen 8 league though, so it still kind of held up pretty well. Um, I feel like he didn't do anything like amazing, but it just did what it needed to do, you know. Um, then we got Dio Defense, which I also think was pretty average. Um, it just kind of walled a couple things. It kind of got hacked a lot, if I remember correctly. But it was also part of like my chip game itself, which I remember uh, bringing that to that. Um, I don't think I used Dio the way that I was supposed to use Dio. Like I didn't click like Spikes, Rocks, Teleport. You know, like I was clicking like Psychic and Ice Beam, just like coverage moves at being a Fatmon, which didn't really work out the way it should have. Our star player was definitely Vaporeon. Vaporeon caused like 2 forfeit wins to happen, and I just thought it was so funny that I kind of have to put that in star player. Just clicking Wish Protect over and over again, like really worked out in my favor, and it ended up getting a lot of kills just off of like forfeit wins and stuff like that. So yeah, Marowak Alola, that mount was also like a lot better than I expected. In the games I brought it to, I think I only ran Trick Room into it once, and it did pretty good there. But it also kind of checked a lot of mons that I didn't expect it to really check, such as like Tapu Koko, a lot of electric types because my electric resist was like Heliolisk. Well, I had High Dragon, but I didn't really have good electric resists. Um, then we got Wheezing Galar. I'm kind of under the impression that I kind of think Wheezing's like not that good. Also, I don't think that's a home sprite. I think that's a Sugimori art, but whatever. But yeah, Wheezing was kind of just. It was just kind of there because it had to check things, but it kind of. I don't really like using Galarian Wheezing that much. I think it is just a me thing because I've never heard about anyone else like complaining about using Wheezing, but I particularly don't really like using it. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, also Chestnut was like below average. Um, it just kind of didn't show up to any games. It came to like 3 games, but it didn't really do anything in them, and I'm pretty sure its win rate was like 0-3 or like 1-2. So like it kind of lost most of the games I brought it to, but um, yeah, I think I mostly drafted Chestnut because I like Chestnut and not because it was good on the team. Next one was Heliolisk, which I think I'm gonna put in the tier because it kind of didn't do much in the main season, but it really popped off in playoffs. If it was just a playoff run tier list, like this would be like the star player of playoffs. Um, but it just had like it had those really good games in playoffs, and then otherwise it just kind of did nothing for me the whole season. But it's kind of funny now seeing Heliolisk being like a 4 point mon when I think I drafted this thing for like 10. It used to be like a 10 point mon, which is kind of crazy. Maybe even like 11, but I think I had it at like 10, maybe 9. Um, Pricings have really changed a lot since then. I think this Dio defense was like 15 points, 14 points, and like the Marowak was like 10, 11 maybe. And then we had Sand Slash, which was below average. It just kind of did nothing. Two mons I had on that team that I dropped. I had Mesprit and Politoed. They both did something. So I'm just gonna say that they were unfortunately dropped. So I had like a rain team idea, but I kind of just didn't vibe with it. And I think I picked up the Marowak and the Sand Slash over these two guys and whatever my rain sweeper was. Um, so that was what it was. Um, they did do pretty well in the games I brought them to though. And Polytoad was like specifically pretty good at checking like bulky waters. I was like very specifically scared of like Tapu Fini and Suicune because I felt like Heliolisk wasn't breaking through those and like Chestnut wasn't gonna get scald burned. So yeah, that is my first chip team. Now on to the second one, where I started off the draft with Dragapult, who was also my star player, um, and by far the best member on that team. I think it got like 22 kills for the season. It came to like every game. I ran a lot of sets on it. I think I only ran specs like once, maybe twice, but I actually like I love Dragon Dance sets. From what I remember, I yeah, I just love Dragon Darts. Um, it actually makes me really want to use Dragapult again. So hopefully I get the chance to use it again. If you ever get the chance to use Pult, like definitely use it. I know it's banned in like Paldex drafts now, but Paldex is fucking stupid. You shouldn't play it. So anyways, um, then we got Galarian Zapdos. Um, I'm gonna put him below Wheezing and above Chestnut. I've actually used Galarian Zapdos like before that, like not that long ago before that, and I brought it to like every game, and I remembered it being like decent, but for some reason in this league it was EDC. Um, I just wasn't using it for whatever reason. So I think he was benched more than he was played, which is kind of crazy. But you'll kind of see with the rest of the team like why he was getting benched. So yeah, Lycanroc Dusk was better than expected in this scenario. Lycanroc Dusk is actually a mon that I picked up like week 6. after dropping someone else, which you'll see pretty soon. But it helped me to make it past playoffs and win the chip, and I am very appreciative of that. Sylveon, I think, was pretty average. Um, I don't recall it really doing that much, but it did the Sylveon things with like Heal Bell, hitting things with Hyper Voice, walling out certain mons if it had to, and stuff like that. Then we got Mandibuzz, which was also, I think, pretty average in this scenario. Um, if I recall, like it was basically my main like removal, and I just kind of used it to click defog. Wasn't really anything super crazy, but it was there and I liked it a lot. Also, I'm missing a Pokemon on this tier list. Let me check really quick. This should be EDC. Oh, I'm missing Mega Steelix. Oops. Let me let me get my Mega Steelix sprite. Because I was looking at the mons I had left and I was like, there's no way that I only have that many left. But yeah, here, Mega Steelix. I'm just gonna rate the Mega Steelix now. So Mega Steelix was um, very much better than I expected. It by far it helped me win the chip. It came to like every game that I um, played, almost every game, because I can look. I brought it to 9 out of 12 games. The only other mons that I brought more than Steelix were Sylveon and Dragapult, and the only other one that was kind of close was Mandibuzz, and Eel actually. So yeah, Mega Steelix is really good. I remember in finals it clicked Fire Fang on a Mega Scissor and killed it. So honestly, for that reason, I'm gonna put him above Mega Scissor. But yeah, he was really fucking awesome, and it performed pretty. 9 games brought 7 kills, like not that bad, especially in a scenario where like Dragapult was getting like most of the kills. So I can't really blame it for not getting as many as the games it was brought to. Starmie, I think, was also just kind of pretty average. I'm gonna put it like below Sylveon. I'm gonna put Sylveon like above Dio. Um, it was just kind of there as like a. I feel like I used it more like offensively, and I used it to spin a couple times, but um, it was just kind of there to be like a fast mon that could kind of threaten KOs and like revenge kill things when it needed to. I don't think it performed badly in like any game I brought it to really. Like it was able to do something, which was cool. Roserade is gonna be my next mon because it really popped off like the first 2 weeks I used it. Like offensively, I used like I don't even think I was Life Orb or anything. I think it was like defensive Roserade, but it was getting a lot of kills like as a defensive Pokemon, and people were kind of struggling to deal with it, which I thought was really funny. So let me see. Yeah, overall, I brought it to 3 games and it got 7 kills. So like I brought it to the first 2 weeks, and then I only brought it one more time after that, which is kind of funny. Um, I feel like I'm the type of person that like once I get used to my team, like I kind of lock in like the same Pokemon like every week. So that could be why it didn't really pop off that much, but yeah. Roserade was good for like the games I brought it to though for sure. Eel is also a Pokemon I don't think that's home art for, but whatever. Eel um, very much better than I expected. It was just very solid clicking, running Assault Vest on it every week and clicking U-turn and just pivoting around. I started calling it like my scout Pokemon. Like if I didn't know what to do, send out Eel and then like get the damage calcs, like see what the opponent is doing, and then it just like it safely slow pivots out. And I think in the finals match specifically, it dealt with Mamoswine. um, but yeah, I would recommend using Electros, especially in past generations. I think in Gen 9 it's gotten a little bit power crept, but I would definitely recommend using Eel if you have not. Kecleon I think was pretty average. In comparison to like all these other guys, like these are better Pokemon, but Kecleon did what it needed to. Its main purpose on my EDC team was to check DJ Barrera's team because he had like Mew, he had Spectrier, and Kecleon did very well at checking those with like Protein, getting Shadow Sneak and I think like Sucker Punch. So it saved my ass against him in playoffs, which is very nice. And also the same thing happened for Palpitoad, but Palpitoad was just a mon that checked Dracovish for me. And I think the best moment of the season was Palpitoad clicking, I think it was Curse. And I was clicking Curse on like a Curse Mega Steelix, and I was clicking like, I don't even remember. I think it was like ice. I was like Ice Punch, and he was like Ice Fang or something. I don't even remember what his set was. But it was actually Palpitoad versus Politoad. Actually, they had the same set. I think it was like Curse, Rest Talk, Ice Punch. So it was like they were the same fucking set, which is really funny to see. And Palpitoad actually like came out on top, thankfully, and it beat a Dracovish. Volcarona was dropped on his ass. Um, I had it for like 6 weeks, and then I replaced it. I replaced Volcarona for Lycanroc. It just like I couldn't fucking justify bringing it to any games. I think it came to one game and it performed well, but it was like one game out of six, and it was supposed to be like the second best mon on my team. So like, no, that mon was fucking ass. I'm sorry. But yeah, next up we have Tornadus Therian again. Um, I'm gonna have to check my stats actually on him. Um, he came to 11 games and got 5 kills. Okay, so I'm remembering the season now. Um, he was pretty average then. Like he isn't like a big killer, but he was just kind of there to like pivot around and stuff, and get the other team members in. However, Komao was a star player. Um, I'm gonna put him above Vaporeon. Clanger's Soul was freaking awesome that season. This was also Gen 8, so it was before stuff like um, Mirror Herb. So the Klinger Soul plus like Throat Spray was just very solid every week. I think there was even a week I ran like sub Belly Drum with soundproof, so it couldn't get like hyper voiced. Excuse me, by like a Mega Altaria, so it was very good and very cool at doing that. Our next star player was Kartana. The Kartana was a mon that I picked up midway through the season. I think week 6 I picked it up, so I had it for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. But I think I had like 2 losses before picking it up. But I ran the same Kartana set every week, just Choice Scarf Kartana every week, and it just like outright won me the chip. Every week it just showed off. It got 12 kills in just like half the season. So imagine if I had it the whole season. Um, yeah, Kartana's fucking awesome. Mega Slowbro is just kind of a below average mon. I had to drop um I had to drop like whatever mega I had. I think I had Mega Aggron at the time actually. Um I had Mega Aggron and Slowking, and I turned it into Kartana plus Slow Bro, and I think I picked up Nihiligo or something. I don't know how I made those points work. I probably dropped like something else, but I don't exactly remember how I got that to work. Um, but Mega Slowbro, like I think it showed up to like most of the games, but it really didn't do much. I wasn't really expecting it to do much. I think it did like what I needed it to, but it, overall it was still like a below average mon. Um, Rotom Heat I think was like a pretty average mon as well. Like it just kind of it was there to like pivot around, be a fat pivot, and it got in my star players, which I actually have one more star player on this team. Nihiligo is also below average. I think it only popped off like one game, but Nihiligo is just a mon where I can't really figure out like how the fuck you're supposed to play it, where it doesn't have like all the coverage it needs, and its moves are a little bit inconsistent, or even weak. So if you're not like Meteor Beam, you're running Power Gem, and Power Gem just isn't that strong. So I didn't really find the use in Nihiligo that often. But I think the one set that I used that kind of popped off was like a sub Hex T Wave set, and it was actually like really cool. But it was actually also a really cool interaction. Um, it wasn't a cool interaction for me at the time, but it was an interaction that I didn't know like occurred. But apparently, Galarian Slowking's Eerie Spell is a sound-based move, um, and it was hitting through Nihiligo's sub. So I thought it was just like it was an interesting thing that I remembered about that season. Next up, we have Obstagoon, who is also a star player. The fucking like every week, just Flame Ward, Guts Facade, Close Combat Knockoff, like it just deleted like everything in its path. As long as it's faster, and I remember it got like 2 or 3 kills like every week, like very consistently. I think in Gen 9, Obstagoon wouldn't be able to do that anymore. Like Obstagoon is one of those mons where like you can't really justify bringing it all that much anymore, but in Gen 8, I think Obstagoon was fucking awesome, and I think if you play a Gen 8 league, you should try Obstagoon for sure. Golurk was pretty average. It was one of those mons where I tried to slot it like every week, and I just couldn't figure out how to use it. Um, but then I kind of realized that everything that Golurk wanted to do was something that Obstagoon could do better, and Obstagoon didn't care about like Will-O-Wisp flying its way. So overall I just kind of tossed Golurk to the side. Like I was like, hey, it's still ground type, so if I need the ground type specifically, I can bring it. But I didn't end up using Golurk. It's kind of funny that this chip team, like some of the important typings that I had, like just didn't come in account at all. Because the next one I'm gonna put on there is Clefairy, which was my fairy type. Um, I'm just gonna say it was pretty average because it showed up to like one game. I think it unironically killed a Jirachi with knockoff. Um, but that's kind of all it did that season. But Clefairy was like a pivotal moment for me as a player to learn that I don't need Wish Protect to play the game, which I think was awesome. That it kind of shown a new playstyle upon me. Cryogonal no showed. Cryogonal was just one of those mons that I picked up like late season because I had the points, but I never used it. And I think the same for Masquerain. I didn't use either of them, unfortunately. Slowking though, um, it was it was a guy that I dropped. I'm not gonna say that I dropped it on its ass. Same for Superior. These three mons were all on my CLDL team, the same team as the Kartana, Komao, and Obstagoon, but I couldn't really justify like keeping them when I was like, you know what, Kartana is like I need to use Kartana to like win because I just need to click buttons at this point. Playing defensively was not working out for me, but the thought of having Slowking plus Mega Aggron was kind of insane. So next up we have my first chip team of Gen 9, which consisted of firstly Urshifu, which I think performed below average, I'm not gonna lie. This is one of those top tiers, like this is the mon I was thinking about when I thought of like making this below average tier. It just did not really pop off the way that I thought it would. Um, but to be fair, I should have probably made it my Terra Captain, but I actually made Ursaluna my Terra Captain, which performed better than expected. Um, I didn't actually really use Terra on it that much, but it had those weeks where like bulk up leftovers Ursaluna with guts really popped off for me, and like people are like, oh, it's a leftovers Ursaluna, so it's probably bulletproof. So then they'd burn it, or like they'd bring in. It was like specifically a fucking Moltres. Like I touched the Moltres and it burned me, and they were like, oh yes, I burned the Ursaluna. I was like, like that's good for me, bitch. Um, but yeah. Corviknight was a mon that I dropped on his. Well, I didn't drop him, but he was below average because I brought it for the first few weeks, but then I kind of just didn't. I just stopped using it. I think like after week 6, I never brought it again. It didn't even show up to like a playoffs game, which is crazy. But all the other mons my team kind of did, so I can't really say much about Corv there. Not Mega Volcarona. Iron Moth was it's one of these guys because it performed like shit all season, but I had like two games at the end of the season where it just kind of popped off, and it got like, I think I got like 5 kills both games. So it ended up being pretty close to my kill leader for a while, but it just kind of wasn't. Slowking as a mom, I think I'm gonna also put in like average. I really didn't care about Slowking, unfortunately. Um, I might have used it to click teleport a couple times, but I think at the time I was kind of not satisfied at the way I was like using Slowking. And unfortunately, I didn't get to use like Slowking with my Arctozolt because Arctozolt got dropped, unfortunately. Arctozolt performed very well for a mon that got dropped, so I will say that. Then we have Regidrago, which performed pretty average. I tried getting away with like Dragon Dance sets a couple times, but it just barely didn't work out. I think there was one game where if I just trusted my gut with a coverage move that I was gonna run, I would have won like instantly, but I just kind of didn't run it, unfortunately, and it cost me that game. But this is also the season where I fell in love with Superior. I actually don't think Superior performed very well, but I'm gonna put it in better than expected because this was the season where I went fucking balls to the walls. I was clicking fucking like Leaf Storm into Hyper Beam. In the finals game, I stayed in on a Dragalge, click Leaf Storm again, stayed in on a Mana Buzz, click Leaf Storm again, and then just Hyper Beam the Dragalge, and the Dragalge got deleted. So that is something I will never forget. And Superior will always have a spot in my heart as a Mon that I just went balls to the walls with. I did not give a shit how I played that Mon. Then we have Diancie. I have to put that top one. Once I started terrestrializing Diancie over like Ursaluna, I just like won every game outright from there, and just it just outperformed everything. No one knew how to deal with it. I think at this point, like in 2026, people are gonna know how to deal with Terra Diancie, but people in 2023, like, they thought, oh, Diancie is like a Terra Ghost Mon. Like, you're gonna Terra Ghost with that thing and like set up rocks and spikes and not let anyone defog. But no, it was a Terra monster with like Calm Mind, Rock Polish, Meteor Beam, Calm Mind, Weakness Policy, fucking everything. Like, it can do everything. It can fucking trick room. It can rock polish. Like, it has so many ways of like abusing its shitty speed tier. So it was great. Rotom was a. I'm gonna put Rotom like last place and below average. I think I brought it to one game, and I purposely ran like the weakest Rotom possible because I wanted to get like the most painful pain split off. So like I purposely ran like 0 in its defenses just to make a pain split better. And the fact that I had to use a Pokemon like that, like, it's probably gonna be below average. Gorbis was. I'll actually put Gorbis in pretty average because um, I actually brought it to a game and it checked a Greninja and it won me the game. So for that reason, like, yeah, it just goes there. Crocolore won me my chip like entirely. It also walled out a team that ran like mostly physical attackers. Um, and Unaware was very nice for it. Because I think it 1v1 a Wish Salamence with. It was like Wish Dragon Dance Salamence, which I thought was a really weird set. But like, Crocolore just kind of won the 1v1, and then it also beat like Melmetal 1v1. It beat like Annihilate 1v1 or something like that. All in one game, and then in the finals game, it was my last mon standing. So of course it's gonna have like a place in my heart. Would I recommend using Crocolore? Probably not, but at the time it was really good. Next up, we have a Paldea team. It was my rain team from CBL. So first up, we have Garchomp, which I think I'm gonna put at the top of better than expected. It kind of started off the season not really doing much, but by the end of the season, I think it was starting to perform the way it should have. Um, so let me check my stats. Oh, never mind. Never fucking mind. He is a star player. Um, It must have just been at the end of the season he started getting a lot of kills and doing a lot more. So for that reason, I have to put him in star player, and it's a ground type on a rain team, which unironically I've done that again. Next up we have Iron Bundle, which I brought to 10 games. I got 9 kills. I think it was better than expected because I always thought like Iron Bundle was gonna be one of those mons that like struggled to kill things like unironically, and people are starting to think that way about it now. But I was like, any like spit F wall is just gonna wall this thing out. But I had a lot of fun using it. It landed a lot of hydro pumps, and in the rain, like it just hit really hard. Scissor I think was below average because I was kind of mad at the fact that Scissor like, oh never mind, Scissor was not. Actually no, Scissor was actually better than I expected after I look at those stats. So the reason I originally tried putting it in below average was because it lost Roost, and I was still kind of in that mindset where like, oh, if it doesn't have recovery, it sucks. If I can't run it defensively, it sucks. But then I think I figured out how to use Scissor, and unfortunately, I didn't have like open Terra, but I drafted Terra Poison, and Terra Poison Scissor got me out of quite a few bad deals. Um, it still had Defog, it still had Bullet Punch. Actually, I remember running Sword Stance Quick Attack quite a bit. I think I had like Bullet Punch and Quick Attack, which I thought was really cool to run on it, like double priority. Next up, we have Basket Legion, which was also I think better than expected, but I almost want to say it was kind of a star player. And I'm actually gonna move. I have an Overquill. I want to move up there as well. Both of these guys were star players in the rain. Specifically, Basket Legion was really good at just smashing buttons. Um, and sorry, I kind of want to move this back up. Um, Basket Legion clicked a lot of buttons in the rain. I liked running adaptability. Like I think I ran adaptability choice band like a couple times in the rain, or like Swift Swim choice band. There's a couple weeks I ran like Assault Vest because AV beat Dragapult, which was cool. So it had a lot of options, and that was before it got flip turn. Whereas Overcoil was just a mon there where I ran Life Orb Sword Stance, and once it got off a Sword Stance, it basically had until rain was over or until it died from its own Life Orb recoil, or it just killed everything in its path. Like there was not a single mon that like lived a hit from it. It like pretty easily overwhelmed everything. So that was very cool of it. Um, I keep fucking up the. I keep having to move this because there's a lot of mons. I still have a. God, I still have 3 rows to go. Holy shit. Next up we have Screamtail. Fucking below average trash. I fucking hated using that mon. I used like Wish Tech on it. But it just felt awful to use. It couldn't hit anything. I tried dropping it for Hatterene like a lot throughout that season, and I just couldn't fucking do it with it. Hisuian Decidueye is better than expected. Um, it was actually my kill leader for like the first 3-4 weeks. Then it kind of fell off because it's a grass fighting type, and grass fighting sucks. But um, I actually didn't mind the way it performed. Then we got Pelipper, which I think performed like pretty average. It's just a Pelipper. Um, just trying to get up rain. I don't think I did anything crazy with it. I got 2 kills in 7 games, so I didn't even really use rain that much. It looks like I used every time I brought Pelipper to a game, I brought Overquill from the looks of it. So can't really be mad about that. Kilowattrel was pretty below average. I brought it to like 2 games, and it just struggles to like do damage and like hit things, so I didn't really like it for that reason. And then Tatsugiri I think was actually pretty good. I actually put Tatsugiri better than expected. So I only brought it to like 1 or 3 games, but it walled out a Greninja, and it beat Greninja, and I think overall it beat a couple like other water types that my team would have been scared of because rain helped boost their power. So I think Tatsu like did pretty it did pretty well, honestly. Um So did the Dunsparce. I think the Dunsparce, or sorry, Dunsparce is pretty average. Um, it's just a Dunsparce. Like it sat there to wall things. I brought it to 3 games. It looks like I got 2 kills. Um, I'm gonna assume it probably walled out a couple things. I do remember though, like trying to cook really hard with Dunsparce, but it was kind of hard to do that. Typhlosion is below average trash. I had it on my rain team. I don't really know why. Next up we have Landorus. So we're getting into like my newer chip things. Lando is probably above average. I'm actually gonna move Tatsugiri to pretty average, but yeah, Lando is like pretty. It was a little bit. No, actually, it was pretty average. I would say these aren't really ordered anymore at this point, but yeah, it was pretty average. I brought it to I think every game in that season, but it didn't really perform super well. I feel like it just did like because I'm gonna look at my stats, and I'm gonna be frank. Um, where's my Landorus? Oh, here it is. 12 games brought 6 kills, 5 deaths. For Landorus, it didn't really get that many kills, but I feel like it did what it needed to. Like it got the right amount of chip on things for my other mons to win. Roaring Moon was a pretty below average mon. I'm gonna put it above Gapdos. Um, it had a couple more sweeps than I think Gapdos did, but I only brought it to 5 out of like 12 games, so it wasn't really anything. King Gambit I think was also pretty average. I'm gonna put him like by Mandibuzz there. Um, I actually didn't run King Gambit the way that you think that you'd run King Gambit. But I ran like Focus Sash and like Choppleberry quite a bit, or I used it in unison with like Trick Room, Stakataka, and Gallade. Um, but it was kind of the result of a randomized draft, and I had 2 mons that were like 4 times weak to fighting on paper, and I really didn't like that. So I had yeah I had him and Roaring Moon, so it was like I had a big fighting weakness, and my fighting resist was Zora Kisui, which was kind of below average. Um, yeah, I brought Zora to like 4 5 games. Um, do I think he's worse than Moon? He performed like the same as Moon, so I'm gonna put him above Moon because he's a lower tier. But this was I think when people were starting to realize that Zora Kasui wasn't like that good. I think Zora Kasui's a good mon. It's just really not like all that in a bag of chips. It does kind of struggle with things, but in the games I did bring it to, like it felt like it helped me win the game. I ran like Focus Sash quite a bit. Stack Attack is probably going to be the first mon that I put up in Star Player in a while because it was Terra Stack Attacka, and basically Terra Stack Attacka just beats everything unless it's a bulky water. And if it is a bulky water without recovery, then it still wins because you click Toxic on it and they can't really do much about it. And Stack Attacka is just too bulky to deal with anything, but if you want to use Terra Stack Attacka, it is very good at setting its own Trick Room, and then you run like Terra Steel plus like Metal Coat, and then you just spam Gyro Ball. You can even run like the attack boosting set and run like no defense or like negative defense because getting the attack boost on Gyro Ball, like you can just kind of cycle through and just kind of win. But yeah, Inteleon. Oh man, I when I saw the Inteleon up there, I was like, it's the Inteleon I want to chip with, or it's the Inteleon that I use in low tier, but it's not. It's the Inteleon I drafted alongside my low tier draft. I'm gonna put him in like pretty average, like bottom of average, because it had like 1 game where it performed really well. I think I brought it to finals though, and it clicked Vacuum Wave on a Cloyster, and it kind of helped me beat that Cloyster, which is nice. Um, Gallade, I'm gonna put Gallade in better than expected, like top of better than expected, because he was like I ran Assault Vest on it every week. But in my finals game specifically, I manned up and I ran like agility sword stance, and it just kind of won me the game. So for that reason, I think Glade's awesome. It's one of those mons where I haven't used it in a while. I haven't used it since that chip, basically. You will see another Gallade on this list, but I didn't technically use Gallade. Um, but I would be happy to use Gallade again. It's really strong, uh, and it's really good at walling special attackers with AV, and you can still kill things with like Spit F investment. Florges was better than expected as well. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of better than expected because I didn't like that I had to use Florges, but I had to use Florges. If that makes sense. Um, it just had to be there to like check certain things, and I really didn't like it, but it did. It was fine. Rotomo was pretty average. I actually don't really have much to say about Rotomo. I brought it to 4 games and it got 5 kills, but it was one of my worst mons according to like the way I ordered them all. So I can't really say that Rotomo performed like below average. I think it just kind of did what it needed to do. But the games that I brought it to, like it did really good. It did really well. Quillfish though, Quillfish though is the fucking goat. He's gonna go right next to Overquill. Actually, he might be above Overquill. The way I used Quillfish that season in SDS, I ran I ran Swift Swim on it like twice. One was for an actual rain team where it outsped a Zera Aura and just demolished it. And another one where I clicked Rain Dance, killed whatever was in front of me, and then clicked Destiny Bond, and it killed 2 Mons running an offensive Quillfish without like a proper like rain setter. Um, so Quillfish was fucking awesome. It came to like every game. It just kind of came in, clicked Flip Turn and Destiny Bond and T Wave, Aqua Jet, Gunk Shot. I am a Gunk Shot believer. I think if you're not running Gunk Shot in your Quillfish, like you have nothing to live for. Like you gotta run Gunk Shot in your Quillfish, guys. Last and not least, well, actually, last and certainly least, I had Lurantis. I'm gonna put it in below average because I had it the whole season and I only brought it out for a meme game. I don't even think I considered using it otherwise, but I had it on the team. It was one of my randomized picks. So my randomized picks that season were Roaring Moon, Lurantis, Rotom King Gambit, and Gallade. And I think the only one I really enjoyed using was Gallade. But yeah. Next up we have Terapagos. Terapagos was a fucking below average mon when I used it. I couldn't figure out how to bring it every week. So I think it took like 4 or 5 weeks for me to actually use it in a game. But I will say like it is pretty good at checking things like one time and like ensuring that you don't lose immediately because of Terror Shell. So that's something I can appreciate about it. And I think it had a decent playoff run. I think it missed Meteor Beam in finals. Um, so I didn't appreciate that, but yeah, I didn't really like using Terapagos. And I felt like I was pressured to actually use it, but it was kind of not really the case. Next up, we got Torn T again. I thought I had Sugimari art, but I guess not. But where does this Torn T go actually? I gotta check. Oh, I gotta put the SPS logo in there. Torn came to 7 games and got 4 kills. It came to more games than anything else did, so I think it came to every game. Did I get how many forfeit wins did I get? Oh, I didn't. I just kind of used my team like fully evenly. Okay, so again, he's probably like pretty average then. And I'm not gonna talk about Torn again. Iron Tread's also pretty average according to my stats. Yeah. I brought it to like 6 out of 9 games. Just kind of did the thing. I am a guy that I do like Iron Treads a lot. Kind of surprised it took me that long to actually win a chip with Treads, but considering how many times I've used it in Gen 9. Then we had Sneasler, which I also think was just kind of pretty average. It had a couple games where it just kind of clicked U-turn, and it specifically popped off against my finals opponent both times we played him, and that was kind of its best performance. And kind of same for Chiyu. I think Chiyu only popped off like once, but it was a game where like every time Chiyu came in, it was getting a kill. Um, and I'm pretty sure it killed Mega Venusaur from full with just one overheat, which I will never forget. Fuck Mega Venusaur. Tapu Lele was also pretty average. You're gonna notice about my SPS team that I kind of think everything was pretty average. Tapu Lele just kind of it would show up to games, but I wouldn't bring it out on the field like ever. Actually looking right now, it didn't die a single time that season. Yeah, it never died. It might be the only Pokemon on this list that never died, actually. So that's kind of cool. But getting into the real stinkers, we got Araquanid, who is, was he my MVP? No, he was not my MVP. I'm gonna put him close to the top of better than expected. So he's my Terra Captain. And there's definitely just a couple of games where no one had switch-ins to like Choice Spec Surf or Choice Band Liquidation, and I just kind of abused that fact. Some people just didn't even have a Grass type, so whenever I had the chance to just kill shit, like it just did. It always walled like something and like defensively checked something at least once a week, so it was something I appreciated about Araquanid. Then we got Mega Manectric, which was actually probably the most heinous example of a star player. I'm gonna put him like pretty high up too, because everyone said Mega Manectric was shit, and I kind of believed it. I was like, you know what? I'll probably use him like twice a season. I brought him to 6 games, and he got 10 kills. It won me every game it brought me to, and I only died twice. But yeah, it won me like everything I brought it to. Unfortunately, though, I didn't bring him to my chip match, which I think is the same for. No, I think everything else in my star player category went to my chip game. Yeah, everything I think except Manectric, unfortunately. Which isn't to say it looked bad. Like it looked good in the matchup, but I couldn't afford to bring it, unfortunately. Lastly, for Mons I didn't drop, I had Leafeon, which was better than expected, actually. I brought Leafeon to 3 games, got 2 kills, but I'm putting it in better than expected because um, I was able to run like a chlorophyll set one week and manual sun, and it scared off a Mega Scissor. Like it, I shit you not, it scared off Mega Scissor because they were scared of Weather Ball, which they were right to be because I of course was running Weather Ball on it. But yeah, Leafeon is the fucking goat. This is actually the first time I'm putting Slowking Galar on this list, as well as Diancie, Gallade again, and Beartick. So these guys were on my SPS team before I dropped them for like Chi-Yu, Sneasler, um, and Tapu Lele. But yeah, Galarian Slowking, it did kind of do stuff when I had it on the team, but it kind of didn't. It just didn't stay on the team because I wanted power, and I figured I would pick up Sneasler and Tapu Lele, and I was like, well, then Glowking doesn't really fit anymore, so why keep it? And Diancie is also kind of just a sad case as well, where I like using Terra Diancie as like a failsafe mon, but unfortunately I just had to drop it. And the same thing happened for Gallade. It was my other Terra captain. It kind of failed me the week 1 though. And then we have Beartick, which I think was my best performer of my mons in my losing game, because I think I only lost 1 game to Delp, but I think Beartick was one of the few that actually kind of did something. Next up, we're on our last draft. We're on Hatterene. So these are pretty fresh in my memory. Hatterene was definitely better than I expected it to be. There was a couple games where I felt like it was too frail to do stuff because its HP stat is low and its defenses really aren't high. Like it has like Rotom bulk, and I don't think Rotom's bulky. But Hatterene, like it kind of it had enough bulk to like perform and do something, whether or not it was like Trick Room or like Assault Vest and just clicking buttons, killing things. It's pretty nice. Magic Bounce is also pretty nice. Mega Beedrill, I think I'm also gonna put in better than expected. Like here. Mega Beedrill didn't perform super well like in the early weeks, but in the later weeks it definitely just I just kind of learned like you just gotta ball it. You just gotta run Beedrill, click U-turn. I guess there are people that have like mons that punish Beedrill, but I think I was starting to just run into people that didn't have a way to really punish Beedrill without Rocky Helmet. Whereas like in the early weeks I ran into Crypt who had like Talonflame, but Beedrill performed pretty well. And we got Sandy Shocks, which I think was kind of a. I'm gonna say he's kind of an average mon. It didn't really do too much for me. Just kind of sat there, pivot around. I think I got up hazards a couple times. But didn't do anything like very crazy, I would say. Let me look at the stats with Sandy. Yeah, 2 kills in 9 games and 5 deaths. Not really the best performance, but Hattering got like 13. Beedrill got 14. So that's pretty, yeah. Then we got Iron Juggles. I think Juggles is really good. Um, Actually, I'll put Jug in better than expected as well. Kind of for a different reason though, because I was kind of expecting Jug to come short on like the damage it was doing, but it was actually doing a lot better than I thought it would, and it could take a hit or two every game, and it was like one-shotting or two-shotting a lot of things through specs. Hurricane, I feel like Juggles is a mon where like Hurricane is more accurate on Juggles for some reason than other mons, which I appreciated because I wish there was a better flying move that was like 90 base power that was like accurate, but unfortunately you have to go for weak ass air slash or you have to go for Hurricane. But I think if you guys have the chance to use like Terra Juggles, like use Terra Juggles. It's pretty cool. I've seen Jaden use it. Blastoise, Big Man Blastoise was the MVP of that team. Just clicking flip turn and rapid spin on everything. It was revenge killing things by just clicking flip turn and Aqua Jet, which I thought was awesome, and it held my entire team together better than a lot of other glue pieces have, which is crazy because I think Blastoise is a very like it's a very middling mon stat wise, but it just and it like even its tools are kind of like weak in power, but it can do a lot, and like Torrent is actually a lot better than you'd think it is on it. Because Torrent has come in play like a few times. Copper is just pretty average. Um, I ran heavy metal every week. I think there was scenarios where I tried running Life Orb, Sheer Force, but I was just like, eh. Heavy metal, heavy slam plus heat crash is just better coverage, so I'd rather do that. Um, and yeah, and I could power whip some of the bulky waters, and that was kind of it. Also, ignore this other Hatterene at the bottom if you see it. Oh, you can't even see it. It's like down here. We got 4 more Mons left, but the this Hatterene doesn't really count. Chestnut was better than I expected. I think Chestnut actually like I'm actually gonna put Beedrill at the top of better than I expected. Very close to putting. I'm gonna put Beedrill in start MVP. I wouldn't have won without Mega Beedrill, but with Chestnut, I thought it was not doing much early season, but it was my mon that popped off in playoffs. Kind of like Heliolisk in SDS. But it wasn't bad throughout the rest of the season at least. Unfortunately, Turtonator was below average. I think Turtonator was like the worst mon I've ever drafted. It absolutely did nothing, and the fact that it couldn't even like beat a Decidueye with Fire Blast is crazy. Like Decidueye was just roosting up on it and like not being phased by Turt at all. And for that reason, I think Turtonator is fucking trash, and I think you should never use Turtonator. Honestly, if you need a spinner for 4 points, or for like less than 5 points, I'd rather you get Komala, honestly. Um, yeah, or like Karkle. At least Karkle, like the rock fire typing is actually like somewhat useful. Sometimes Fire Dragon just isn't that good. Unpheasant was pretty average. Um, it had a game where I ran Choice Band and it popped off, and that was kind of it. But I actually I like Unpheasant as a mon. I would recommend using it if you are interested in using it. Then we got Cosmoem, which I'm just gonna have to put at the bottom of pretty average because it did what it needed to. It clicked teleport one time. It got sacked to like a cleaver, and that's all it has to do. Um, and yeah, that is my tier list. So I don't have a lot of mons in below average or like no. Well, this no show drop, like I actually feel bad for these mons, but I'm not saying that these are bad mons. I think these are all great. These are all great mons, but like you can even see like Diancie is up there on the list. Um, Gallade was pretty up there as well as like Slowking. Well, Slowking I think I put in pretty average, but I like Superior a lot. I like Mega Aggron a lot actually, as well as Masquerain. And Galarian Slowking is a mon that I apparently have never actually won a chip with. Um, it was on my SPS team last season, but I dropped it week 2. So that's actually kind of crazy that I've never won a chip with it. But I have won a chip with Slowking twice. Well, once because I also dropped normal Slowking, but regular Slowking made it on there once. And the only mon that we had over 2 times was Torn. We have Chestnut up here twice. We have Superior on here twice. But I am kind of surprised that I have quite a bit of variety actually in my mons. Um, and maybe I'll come back to some of these at some point, but we'll see. I like testing out new things as well. So with that said, let us download the image preview. Yeah, that looks about right to me. Volcarona is the only one I put on drop down's ass because it was so bad that I had to drop it. Um, these other tiers aren't really ordered. I think my top tier is like somewhat ordered, but um, they were all goated in their own way. Everyone in my star player MVP tier, like they were all awesome. I think I could probably put Vaporeon at the bottom because Vaporeon didn't really deserve the kills it got, but the rest of my mons, like they deserved what they got. You know, I could even argue like moving Araquanid up a tier because I think Araquanid was one of those mons I was so excited to use it. And then some of these guys like I'm not even saying like oh Iron Treads is worse than Alolan Marowak. It's more just that like Alolan Marowak like very much surprised me. Even for being like a 10-point mon, like it performed well as a 10-point mon. And now it's like a 5-point mon and it doesn't get drafted, which is really sad. So hopefully that mon gets to see some more usage. Also, Ursaluna. Anything else that I find surprising? Not really. Just the fact that I have a lot of variety up here and that I don't have a lot of like double dips. I have like maybe 4 or 5 and then like the one triple dip with Torn. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I enjoyed making this video, and if it gives you some insight on like mons that you want to try or and use, like go ahead. You can ask me about any of these mons. Of course, there's a lot of other mons that you could ask me about too. Like Galarian Slowking is my kill leader of all time, and yet I've never won a chip with it, a proper chip with it. So yeah, I'll see you guys then.